Hello, sippers, tea and champagne sippers. We are back for a special episode today, and we have a special guest with us. Her name is Nikki Washington. Hello, Nikki.
Hi, ladies. Hi, sippers.
And unintentionally, we love Nikki so much. We'll get into what Nikki does, but we're all dressed alike right now.
Repping the
Let's
set.
let's turn up to that. We got our art by Namika sweatshirts
Okay.
on.
Hey.
Yeah.
The love is real. The
All
love
right.
is real.
So we're gonna go ahead and get into the announcements because we have a lot to discuss with Nikki Washington, and we are gonna be so respectful of your time. We appreciate you being here.
For sure.
Thank you.
So let's get into the announcements. Zippers, thank you all again for coming back and listening to us. If you have any questions and would like to contact us, please email us at teaandchampagnepod@gmail.com. Also, we want to say thank you guys for nominating us for the 2024 BEC Awards.
Thank
Hey.
y'all. That's love.
That is
love.
We haven't
That's
even
dope.
done the assignment for a year, and you guys thought of us. You thought that we were the best podcast in the city, in Chettown. So, thank y'all for looking out for us, and we appreciate it. So now you know what you got to do. You got to vote.
You gotta vote.
You got to
That's
vote.
dope.
Tell everybody to vote. It's just
That's
one button.
dope.
Just one button. And we'll put the link in information in the bio, in the description of this episode. And also, we still got some more tea for y'all that we still ain't telling y'all yet.
It's brewing.
It's still brewing, but we still got the rest of the tea. That tea that we've been talking about for the last 3 episodes, it's still happening. But we just ain't told y'all what it is yet. So let's see. We put the tea bag in. Now we finna get the sugar and honey.
Ooh, wee.
Yes. It's some good tea. You know what I mean?
It sound like
And
it.
then maybe next week we'll put the lemon in it. Yeah, because it's piping hot. Okay, so let's go ahead and introduce our Black business of the week. Our Black business is simply Art by Namika, which is our guest today. And Art by Namika is a Black-owned, woman-owned brand that represents freedom. The slogan, Art without structure is freedom of the soul. Simply means giving your feelings, emotions, and spirit permission to guide your being and authenticity. Art by Namika was created with the vision of accepting who you are while being creative and going after your dreams. Okay. The ultimate goal is to inspire all to reach their next level of self while enjoying the passion and gifts of life, no matter the situation. So you can find Nikki's website and support her Black business at artbynamika.com, and that is Nimika. Namika.
That's right.
Y'all, please get on that site because Nikki, her stuff be selling out. I ain't even gonna lie. I referred someone to your site not too long ago because I got one of your prints when you came to our city.
Yes.
And they was like, yo, that piece is hot. And I said, go on her website. And it was out of stock. And I said, people are out here buying her stuff. You gotta hop on it as soon as you see it.
Yes.
And I love that message. It was deep, giving your spirit permission to be your authentic self, y'all. Nikki about her shit. So
yeah, definitely.
It's a real one.
And before we kind of walk you into Nikki, I just want to say Nikki and I have been, great friends. We met in Atlanta. We met at the Atlanta Theater Festival, and we signed up as volunteers. And we volunteered at the concession stand.
Yep.
And when I met Nikki, I was kind of like just drawn into her because she had this cute curly mohawk. She had this cute curly mohawk, and it was like shaved or something in the back. Like, it was like really cute. Like, I was like,
y'all making me blush so much. Y'all don't even understand.
like, dang, like, let's fly.
Yeah.
And we just started talking, and she was her authentic self. Like, she just has the type of spirit that I think I was just telling her all my problems. Like, I'm living with my auntie. I'm not getting no sleep right now because I was just fresh into Atlanta. And she just kind of accepted me, and we exchanged numbers. And I think we probably, well, I know I was living in the city for a year before we actually reconnected. And she invited me to her art show. And she's just, been a warm spirit ever since. She's probably one of the only good people that I've met in
Wow.
Atlanta. One of the few.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then we used to like kick it and have our self-care Sundays. Like we used
Mm-hmm.
to hike up Stone Mountain on
Yep.
Sundays.
Faithfully.
Or go to like that trail.
Mm-hmm.
Um
And
I
Y'all was literally living insecure.
dang. Yeah.
Ew.
Basically.
We did. And then was it my 30th birthday? I think I was turning 30. No, I was turning
Mm-hmm.
32. She, because we was in the pandemic and I had just lost my job, and Nikki threw me a party at my house. She cooked Caribbean food. She brought the hookah. I had the champagne,
Yes, yes.
and the prosecco, and so she's just always been a genuine spirit. During that time, I was like experiencing a lot of depression, and I decided to go to therapy around that time. But Nikki was just always somebody to lean on during that time, and so this is my friend, and so I'll let you take lead from here.
That is a story to be shared. Nikki is definitely someone we all need. We all need a Nikki. And since Nikki can't be everywhere, she has joined our podcast so that she can reach so many people. And I hope you guys.
I'm a life coach. I'm a life coach by spirit, baby.
Okay. Well,
I like where you was going, but I was like, now I gotta tap in and make a face or something.
Okay, but Nikki,
Yes.
didn't you do some certification for something?
I became a certified brain injury specialist. After I left that, yeah. But I probably did share with you that I did have an interest in that. When I left that particular job, it was my goal to get into life coaching, but I just never pursued it.
Okay.
Mhm.
Well, that's okay.
That's totally fine.
It is.
Shoot.
It is.
It's still, I mean, and then what you're certified in is still almost kind of relevant because those people you had to rehabilitate, I guess, into like normal, coherent things, I guess.
Well, so after their rehab with occupational therapy, they would come to our program and relearn skills that they either lost or that they were struggling with, like they weren't even 50% good at cooking. So like I ran and managed the kitchen unit, right? So we would prep food from scratch every single day. So teaching them skills like how to hold a knife, how to chop the vegetables, how to clean chicken or meat, how to prep a salad, how to follow directions. So everyday things that we feel that come naturally to us, to them, they had to start from square one. A lot of them, majority of them had to start from square one, or they were picking up on what was left over from those skills at that time. So yeah.
Okay, so you still you are credentialed essentially, and I mean that's not, we're not going to discredit that.
Yeah,
because that's important. Okay, well
we good on that.
Leave all of it in, or we could take some of it out. I don't even care. I think all of that is real.
Look, the authenticity, right?
It is. Okay, I like that. Well, y'all, nonetheless, whether she's been credentialed in life coaching or credentialed in rehabilitation, she knows her stuff, and we are grateful for your presence, and we are very grateful for your time. And today we're going to talk about imposter syndrome and how you can give us some insight into how that plays into our lives, how it plays into mental health, because we definitely advocate for mental health on our show. And this is a whole nother perspective that we have with you being on, because we
Mm-hmm.
know you are engaged with your art, but your art has had an impact on your mental health, I'm sure, and on everyone
Yes.
else's.
Yes.
So, imposter
Yes.
syndrome is a branch into that. You know, mental health is a
Mm-hmm.
branch of all these different things, and imposter syndrome is just one little stick of it that
Mm-hmm.
we want to tap into. We want to focus on it because I think a lot of people can relate to it. I think a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people can relate to it, and we're going to open the topic up with an icebreaker. And
Excuse me, real quick.
yes, ma'am. Yes,
we
ma'am.
we can't proceed without allowing me to say something about you ladies. Like, first of all,
Okay.
I have to say
This is a
thank
first.
you.
This is a first.
First of all, thank you. Like, not only for inviting me, but for allowing me to be a space, to be a motivating force in your life. Like, not even on a plateau or realm of what I do, just on genuine, humble human nature interactions. You know, when I first met you, D, it was like instant connection. You know, it wasn't, I didn't feel like you were being a fraud. I didn't feel like you were trying to, you know, be somebody that you're not. Like, you were
Yeah.
your genuine self. And I love that bubbly aspect of you. It just shows who you are as an
You.
individual, like your personality. It just shines bright, you know? Lena,
Thank
you already know, like, we
you.
go back like spinal cords, you know what I'm saying? Like, from the moment I met you, like you said, you shared some things that I'm just like, man, you know, I feel like I'm always in the right position at the right time for someone else, you know, because I know how to be there for myself. And the way you have shown up for me, just as you feel like I have shown up for you, I thank you. Like, I thank you. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I felt like I kind of was slipping at times, or I might have done something, like, you would check me on it, or you would bring it to my acknowledgement. You know what I'm saying? And I genuinely appreciate that. And I feel like in having friendships, we should always be able to have that type of relationship with each other, because that's how we hold each other accountable, and that's how we become better human beings. This podcast that you guys are ladies, like, I mean, it's one thing to talk about something, but to follow through with it, execute, and you guys are like continuously keeping up and doing the work of what you said you were going to do. You're following your own blueprint. So flowers back to you, ladies. I really want you ladies to
Ooh,
continue reaching for the highest of the highs. Like, even when you feel like you can't reach anymore, keep on reaching, because it's a little bit more there for you guys to reach. So I genuinely appreciate you ladies, and I thank you guys for having me today.
yo,
We
bless.
done
That's
finished
love.
talking. I wish I knew how to work this thing where I can do the.
uh,
We're gonna learn that now. But we appreciate it.
Thank you,
Thank
Nikki.
you.
That's
Thank you.
that's awesome to hear. Like, them words came right on time, especially
Thank
for
you.
me. Like, if I
Thank
ain't
you.
never needed it, I needed it today more than anything. So thank you
You're very
for
welcome.
real.
Hold up. And Lena said I invited her to my art show. She actually helped host my art show, my solo art show in Atlanta. Let's not forget, okay? She,
I
like,
did.
this was at the peak of COVID, like excuse me, at the very beginning of COVID. Like, my birthday was March 11th, and I think they put it out into the world like this is what's going on. The show was March 14th, and Lena, she was a ride or die for that entire event. Like, thank you. So
That's my dog.
she just didn't show
That's
up
my
to one of my
dog.
art shows. She helped facilitate and host, okay, my solo art show in Atlanta. So thank you. Gotta give you
I
more
was
props on
so
that.
nervous. And I have grown so much. Like, I'll do it again. But
Look,
I have grown so much because I remember Nikki was like, Lena, you think you can handle this? And I was like, yeah. I said, yeah, boy. And I was like, yeah. I didn't know what I was doing, but I was just like,
That's
look.
exactly what we're talking about, imposter syndrome today.
mm-hmm,
You understand? See how
Mm-hmm.
that came full circle?
Mm-hmm.
mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
This is what's happening. This is alignment right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
For surely.
Yeah.
For
Thank you for
surely.
that, Nikki, for
No
real.
problem.
So let's break the ice on it. We got a little question since we're talking about imposter syndrome. Let's take it back a notch. Let's go back in time. Let's time travel a bit, right?
Okay.
You could go back, to your 16-year-old self. Like we
Ooh.
wanted to actually tap into a specific space and time. And those adolescent years, they're critical, right? And if you could
Mm-hmm.
go back to your 16-year-old version of yourself when you might be even trying to figure out how you want to identify. And knowing what you know now about
Mm-hmm.
imposter syndrome, what would you tell that 16-year-old Nikki? Like if you were able to meet her and you know what you was going through back then, maybe a situation,
Mm-hmm.
what would what would you advise? What would you speak on?
Ooh. I would say just because it looks like everybody else is better at it, it doesn't mean that you're not good enough for it.
Mm-hmm.
It might not be for you in the way that you see someone else elevating and succeeding at something, right? And for me at 16, I'm thinking strictly basketball. I'm thinking strictly basketball. Like I know that I was good, but I wasn't great, but I would dumb myself down like I'm not even good enough for real to play amongst these women who they appear like their confidence is so high. They appear as if, they just have it. And looking back, it's like, no, you were just as capable. If you would have practiced a little bit harder, then yeah, you know what I'm saying? But you had it then. You just didn't believe as much as you should have. And
Mm-hmm.
now that I have what I have now, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, if I could have given that to my 16-year-old self, you know what I'm saying? I don't think I would have doubted myself as much. And at the time, too, I feel like I had a lot going on then, you know what I'm saying? Like my relationship with my dad, that wasn't where I feel like it should have been. So some of the things that, I've heard from him, that made me self-doubt myself. You know what I'm saying? Not just in that one particular area, but in a lot of things, but you carry that with you as you try new things. You know what I'm saying? So it's
Mm-hmm.
almost like, girl, you okay? Like you got it. You actually do have it. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yes.
I like that.
I like that too because you thinking people are an expert and it
Mm-hmm.
makes you discredit your own expertise thinking about what they're doing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I can relate on
Mm-hmm.
that. What about you, Lena? If you could go back to 16-year-old Lena, what you gonna tell that girl?
I would probably tell tell myself, like, you don't have to do everything your sister does. Like, you don't have to
Mm.
be like your sister because Renee was that girl.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And like, she had the sweet 16. She had, me and my sister had different dads. So, like, her dad's side would kind of like show up for her.
Mm.
So she got to have like this big 16, sweet 16 party. And I thought that I was supposed to have that too, And when things didn't pan out the way I thought my life would pan out, like my sister's, I think I was just kind of feeling like I wasn't good enough for things. You know what
Mm.
I mean? And I would tell her, like, tell little Lena, like, you are unique and you don't have to be like everybody else. Because at that time, it was just hard to, like,
Yeah.
figure out who you are at
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
16. Then I went to like a performing arts school. There was
Mm.
so much competition
Mm-hmm.
there. So I'm trying to compete with my sister and be just like her, and then trying to compete with my peers and like feeling like, because my gift at the time was singing at the time. Don't ask me to hold no note today. I probably need to warm up a few vocals. Not asking me, but I'm saying, like, at the time, like, a lot of my peers would, be the solo singer or the lead performer in a musical theater play and stuff like that. And I wanted to, but I just didn't feel like I was good enough to even try. So
Mm.
I would just tell my little 16-year-old Lena, to try, to try, and it's okay to be yourself. So
that's important. That kind of blends to what I would tell 16-year-old D. I was in a position where I had just moved down south. Like I was living in DC for I don't know how long. I was there from elementary school through high school. So transitioning from Maryland to Chattanooga was almost like a culture shock. And I was coming down here trying to find where I fit in. I had an accent. I had on I was trying to be cool with all the new shoes and all the clothes and but we had to wear uniform and I was trying to rock the tightest polos I could find, and then I was getting a lot of attention from the wrong kind of people. And so I would just talk to her like, girl, first of all, boys gonna always be there. You got the rest of your life. And I be telling my kids that all the time when they try to come to me with their woes and the boys. And I'm just like, I'm not studying what y'all talking about, boy. Y'all got at least another 20 years to flirt. So I would tell her that you got another 20 years to flirt. Feel like you out here to impress them. You know, it ain't about you trying to impress them. Second of all, find camaraderie with your classmates. Like I think I was so shy and I was so insecure about how their perception of me was going to be. I wasn't as outgoing as I should have been. I was, I think there was some type of imposter syndrome about being accepted for who I was. And I would just tell her, don't worry about what they think. Like, just do what you're going to do, regardless of what people are going to think. Like, be okay with people not liking you and do it anyway. Be okay. I would tell her that. I would be like, be okay with people not liking you. You want to do powder puff or, when the girls do the football and the dudes do I signed up for that and then I backed out. Because I was like, oh, I'm not trying to look silly. I'm not athletic. I don't want to make the team look bad. And I go back and tell her, don't worry about making everybody look bad. Just do it anyway. If they don't like you, they don't like you. Fuck them.
That's it.
They don't know what they be doing either.
Right.
No, exactly. Exactly.
So I think I would definitely tell her that. And that's something I could tell myself that even as an adult.
Yeah.
Like, just quit worrying about whether or not somebody gonna like you or like what you did and just do it anyway. And if they don't like it, fuck it. At least you did it.
That part.
That's the energy I feel like we put towards this podcast.
Exactly. Exactly. Because otherwise we would not be doing this podcast.
Right.
We was worrying about what people was gonna think about
what
it.
They think, what they
and we
thought,
was
what
worrying
they
about
had to
followers, viewers. We don't worry about that. And the fact that we being that way, we have supporters anyway.
Exactly.
So they gonna support you, and the ones that don't matter.
Yep. Because what's for you is for you. It's a million people doing podcasts, but they not doing it like you. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So even when Lena said the comparison to her sister, or because of the performing arts school that she went to, you in comparison with all these people, but what about being in comparison? You in competition with that or what you're seeing, but what about the competition with yourself?
Right.
Because that's where I feel like we're supposed to be most competitive, is trying to outbeat who we were yesterday. You know what I'm saying? So constantly climbing that ladder to be better. So like you said, D, fuck them. I mean, it is what it is. You know what I'm saying?
Don't like you. And people gonna talk about you regardless. So just live your life.
For sure.
And be okay with that. Be okay with people not liking you. I know I have my solids no matter what. So.
So we hugging Nikki virtually.
Virtual hug.
So thank you for diving in.
Yes,
and now we're gonna tell our audience, what exactly is imposter syndrome, Nikki? Tap into how you define it. How would you, if someone was clueless on even what it was about, how would you explain it to them?
All right, so this is funny to me, slightly, right? Because when y'all asked me about tapping in for this segment, I was like, imposter syndrome. This is in my mind before, right? It was I would just think, oh, you trying to just be somebody that you're not. But I had to take a step back and really look oh, it's a lot deeper than that. And granted, I have a whole history of mental health, behavioral health, intellectual disabilities, brain injury, and all of that. But I never really heard, and I'm being very transparent here because I don't care what people think about what I'm about
Right.
to say. I never really heard the term imposter syndrome up until like last year, probably.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? I was like, oh, I didn't really know it was like a formal thing behind that. So here
Mm-hmm.
I am thinking it might be one thing, but when I really looked into it, I'm like, oh, this is the everyday thing that people go through. You know, it's basically like just the inability to believe that you're capable of fulfilling the requirements of like a position or something, right? Or you having that
Mm-hmm.
self-doubt about yourself because of, you're stepping into something new and you don't feel like you're qualified. You don't feel like you have the ability to execute in this position, especially when you're comparing like, okay, well, that person's really, really good at it. You know what I'm saying? But I don't
Yeah.
know. And especially if you like faking the funk to be in something, oh yeah, it's gonna be there for sure because
Mm-hmm.
you was being fraudulent trying to get into this position and now you're in this position, so you're really feeling all of the symptoms of imposter syndrome. That's one aspect of where you put yourself in that position, right? The other aspect is that I guess because of like family history or your environment, you have your own lack, and that makes you believe like you're not good enough for something. And
Yeah.
so, it's just really questioning your own intellect, your own skills, and your own abilities. Um, yeah.
That's a great way to define it. I think that's a clear way of getting people to understand that it's not about like it's about you. It's about how you feel
Mhm.
about you.
Mhm.
Mhm. It's not someone
Mhm.
calling you out on not being real. It's about you calling yourself out and
Basics.
checking yourself out. So, have
Mhm.
you experienced it? I mean, I think you
Hell
maybe.
yeah. I mean, I'm good. I'm good at what I do, but hell
Yeah.
yeah. Like
Hmm.
stepping into one of the positions I had, even as of recent, right? Like taking on right now, so I'm working on a lot of things. I don't want to put too much out there, but done some
You
moving
want to hear
around.
it?
I've been doing some moving around and whatnot, you know what I'm saying? So, as a dispatcher, right? So I should actually write a book about the different things I've done in my life. But being a dispatcher, um, going into the position, I'm like, I'm coming from a whole mental health, social services background. Like, how do I even adapt to, you know, this environment? Being around other dispatchers who just look like they know exactly what they're doing. And it's almost like, okay, can I really do this? Like, am I going to learn what I need to learn at a quick enough pace so that I can execute like they're executing? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's just one little smidget because then I had to reel myself back in, like, Nikki, you've been doing this, like, relax, like,
Yeah. Yeah.
you got this, you know what I'm saying, you got this. But in my profession of my career of 15 years doing social services from all different avenues, I definitely would say I experienced it there as well, because even when I would try to go for a promotion at a job with a higher pay, a better title, I was always questioning my own self, like, can you really get into this position and demonstrate the abilities that will help you succeed at this position? You know what I'm saying? Because it comes with so much more responsibility. And am I mentally capable of doing that? Am I emotionally capable of doing that? I went from hands on to actually leading a team of people, even that, like starting to lead people. Like, do you have the ability to lead people? Are people going to look at you like you're a good role model? Am
Yeah.
I boosting their confidence to reassure them in whatever imposter syndrome aspects they might be experiencing? You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So, yes, I have experienced it. And sometimes I feel like at those times too, like I have to remind myself, or had to remind myself, like, for me, it's kind of fake. Like that's how I have to that's what I have to tell myself. Like, this is fake. Like, you're making this up because you know that you're good enough. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Don't allow somebody else to come into space and now you're questioning yourself. Now
Yeah.
you're questioning, you know what I'm saying? So it's just that comparison too. Like, I think that puts that high level of pressure on us, right? And from there, it's almost like, what do I do? How are they looking at me? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Are they looking at me like I'm stupid because I'm not catching on as quick as they may have caught on? You know, so you're just always
Mm-hmm.
questioning yourself. And then when people all around you, like I said, are just, they look like they're great at what they do, you start to feel like you're inadequate,
Yeah.
but feelings are made up.
Mm-hmm. True. There you go.
Feelings are made up. The moment you feel it, you can also reverse it. You know what I'm saying? So like, you don't have to stay in that. You can shift that. But it's just a matter of how much belief you have in yourself to guide your own mind to believe that you can overcome that, and that the feelings that you're feeling in that moment is fake. But I also know that it's a mental health issue, so it causes anxiety, it causes depression, it causes all of these mental health issues that if you don't have the right tools and support and resources around you, you're going to be stuck in that, you know? It's almost like sometimes I feel guilty because I do have the resources, I do have the tools, and I try to make it my duty to do my videos on Mondays, right? To
Right.
give back so that people know, like, one, you're not alone. Two,
Mm-hmm.
if you're not able or you're afraid to reach out for therapy or to reach out and let somebody know, at least you're hearing, like, man, this person understands what I'm going through and I don't even know them. So maybe there is a little bit of hope for me,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
So that's why I like doing that. But it's just a matter of, like, self.
Yeah.
It's really a matter of self. But it's unfortunate that, some people just don't have the access, or they feel they don't have the access, right? Because they don't know how to go about it to get the support that they need, or even to open their mouth and have the conversation about what's going on with them when
Mm-hmm.
it comes to that high pressure environment of having imposter syndrome.
Yeah. I was just gonna say, like, from experience myself, like, even just coming into this job title, media producer,
Mm-hmm.
I had gotten hired for that position fresh out of being unemployed. This would be my first time, like, even having a position in media, which to me is kind of, it was similar to a jurying job, I guess. But the process of me getting hired for this company happened so fast that like sent me into a panic attack because
Mm-hmm.
I was just kind of like, what if they want to hire me? I do not know how to write. English was my worst subject in college and high school, and it still is. And like, I'm black. Unfortunately, like, that was something that I was like kind of struggling with, and I was like, I'm not familiar with this category that
Mm-hmm.
I'm putting myself into. So I was like, am I going to be the only person in the room that look like me? I was like
Mm-hmm.
researching the company, like, to see who's on staff, because I was just feeling like I'm black and I'm in this space, and I just sometimes feel like they were just gonna expect so much out of me,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't feel strong enough to kind of present myself a lot of times. So like, I would come in, like, in the beginning process, like maybe the first couple of months, I would come into work happy, put on this smile, try to be a team player, try to ask as many questions as possible. But then once I started settling into the job, and I started looking at my peers who was also fresh, into the same
Mm-hmm.
situation, or my colleagues, they, seem to be rising to the occasion, and I'm still learning. You know what I mean? And I kind of my other one of the biggest things that I used to think about all the time is that I'm too old, because I was like,
Mm.
and a lot of my colleagues are like 21, 19, fresh out of college and stuff. So I would struggle with that a lot. I'm like, why would they want to hire my old ass? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and speaking
Mm-hmm.
very negative. And I
Mm-hmm.
have a therapist, but I would still talk to myself that way. So, you know, as I started moving around in different areas of the job, I started to get quiet. I stopped asking questions. I kind of would just isolate myself. I wouldn't even talk to my coworkers, because I just felt I probably isolated myself from the team, but I already didn't feel like I was a part of the team, and I feel
Mm.
like a lot of that just interfered with just that kind of was rooted into me just not feeling confident about the position either way. So I
Mm-hmm.
kind of just self isolated myself from the group. It wasn't until we had like this big meeting with the company, and I felt like management was kind of like pushing me to the side and just speaking to the other people. And that's when I spoke up, because I'm
Mm.
realizing like, okay, this isn't this, like, regardless if I don't like this position, I don't like what I'm dealing with, and I don't feel like I'm good enough, they not even acknowledging that I'm here. You know what I
Mm.
mean?
Yeah.
So I had to like kind of rise to the occasion on my own and kind of just sit with those top heavy, speak with management and
Mm-hmm.
speak with people, um to let them know, like, y'all are kind of stunting my growth. You know what I mean?
Mm.
As far as what I need from y'all. And then I kind of started noticing, like, we have different schedules. Like, the company has different schedule, and I'm on second shift. But I started noticing like my peers who kind of started leaning, like my teammates on second shift that would depend on me, like, can you help me with this? And I was like, no. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, why do you think that I can help you with this? I don't know what I'm doing. But it kept happening. Like, they kept coming to me, like, Lena, we need this. Like, can you help me with this and help me with that? Now I'm growing. Now I'm getting the type of training that I felt like I wasn't getting in the beginning of the job or the position that I received, but just interacting with people and feeling like they depend on me. I didn't think I could do that. Honestly, I didn't think that my voice was loud enough. I didn't think I was good enough. But I recognize now, like, my teammates, my nightside teammates, they depend on me. They
Yeah.
depend
Yeah.
on me. And when I'm not when I'm not there, they like, why not? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that kind of just makes me feel good. But even though I know that this part of that chapter is coming to an end, I'm figuring out what I'm about to do next and kind of moving into something else. I'm still struggling with imposter syndrome because it's
Mm.
a new challenge. I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, can I do it? You know what I'm saying? I'm
Mm-hmm.
trying to encourage myself to go ahead and apply, go ahead and do it,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
because these opportunities are very limited. And I've learned a lot from this, but it's time to move on. So you got to go through it. You got to go
Mm-hmm.
forward with it.
Mm-hmm.
I hope that this time, once I, start this new chapter of my life, that I can still stay encouraged and recognize what I learned and what I did wrong from this old position, and just kind of make better habits and
Mm-hmm.
better try to come up with better solutions this time.
Yeah.
Because I spent a lot of time feeling not good enough in this
Mm-hmm.
position, and that kind of just prolonged
Mm-hmm.
a lot of things for me. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that happened in college. That happened in
Mm.
high school. You know what I'm saying? Like, that imposter syndrome is very powerful, and we've got to find a way to, like, kind of my battery about to die. Hold on, I gotta plug up my laptop. But we gotta find a way to work through it, work past it. So, like, surrounding myself with you and Nikki, and then, like, my best thing to do when I'm feeling weak is either stay in my apartment and watch Tubi movies, or go to my parents and go where I am loved. Go with my friends.
Mm-hmm.
Go with my cousins. Find something that keeps me passionate. The gym, that's my boo. You know what I'm saying? The gym
Mm-hmm.
loves me. So I just go to places where I'm loved,
Mm-hmm.
and that just makes me feel good.
You know, you broke your own silence though. So like that's one of the main things that you have to step into first. Like you said, you basically created your own silence, right? Because you kind
Mm-hmm.
of shied away, but then you broke your own silence when you recognize like you working with all these people and
Yeah.
they're not even acknowledging you. Oh,
Yeah.
y'all gonna know I'm here.
Yeah. They
You know what I'm
heard you.
saying? So
Heard
they
you.
heard you in your silence. They heard you.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? But you broke your own silence. So like that's you stepping out of that imposter syndrome. I think we're always gonna have a little bit of sprinkle a little bit over there, sprinkle a little bit over there every time you step into something new, right? But once I think you get into the swing of something, like the more you keep acknowledging that the imposter syndrome is present, the quicker you notice the imposter syndrome is taking over, you have the opportunity to shift that. And because you already know you broke your own silence in having imposter syndrome at one point, the same thing is going to follow you. Like you said, taking what you learn, you know what I'm saying? And as you're going into something new, you can apply it there so that you don't make the same mistakes or you don't even feel the same way that you felt at one point at the previous position. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and using those tools in your next chapter. That's
Mm-hmm.
what this is, like understanding
Mm-hmm.
what those tools are so that you're not
Mm-hmm.
repeating these habits
Mm-hmm.
and talking about this and learning more about it. Now you can go and educate it and
Yep.
recognize it sooner.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I've had imposter syndrome, but I kind of had a reverse version of it, going in overly confident and having
Mm.
imposter of feeling qualified in a situation where I wasn't, and it's kind of a mixed thing because they say go reach for the stars, don't doubt yourself, even though you don't think you're quite qualified, apply for it anyway
Mm-hmm.
and have confidence in yourself to know that you can do that job. But you also have to be mindful of understanding what exactly it is you want. Do you actually want that responsibility? Are
Mm-hmm.
you ready for that responsibility? You're taking on
Mm-hmm.
something that you might not quite feel qualified for, but you're going to, hope for the best and,
Mm-hmm.
think your skills are going to magically appear.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would have
I know
this
that.
this false sense of skill set because I've been a overachiever all my life. I've
Mm.
always been an honor roll student or a straight A student, joining all the clubs. I was very involved in high school and, tried to be a great college student. I was on scholarship, so it was important to keep my grades up. And so getting out of college, you think you're the best at everything because that's how you've lived
Mm.
your trajectory, and then you step into the real world and it's like where you were the top student here, you're in a room full of
Mm-hmm.
other top students.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Mm-hmm.
you're at base level. And so I had a false sense of like, I am the best person for this job because I've been the best at everything that I do. And
Mm.
that was unrealistic. And so
Mm.
going in with that mindset, thinking I knew everything already, I wasn't
Mm-hmm.
utilizing resources to get better because I already
Yeah.
thought I had it under control. And you have to remember that those resources are there to help you and people are there to help you. And
Mm-hmm.
you get complacent thinking that you know
Mm.
everything. And so that was a big part of like shifting from one department I was in to another department where I had more responsibility and subjectively thinking I'm doing great, but
Yeah.
outside they're like, no, you could be doing better. And I'm
Mm.
like, I'm overly confident. Like, man, you're just, you kind of
Yeah.
overreacting. It's just two different opinions. But
Mm-hmm.
no, I had to take heed and understand that no, there's always room for improvement. There's always
Mm-hmm.
room for improvement. You don't have to go in
Mm-hmm.
thinking you know everything. and it could hold you back, not
Yes.
thinking that you're someone that should be taking advice just because you think you got your degree and you know every fucking thing. Like, no,
Mm-hmm.
you
Mm-hmm.
know.
Mm-hmm.
And so going into my next chapter, I'm definitely going to have a mindset of not getting complacent and staying hungry. Like, you know, you get hungry when you're unemployed, and you craft your resume and you put everything about yourself and you really market yourself, and you take this course or you take that course, and you try to learn everything and do all the research, and then once you reach your goal, you just kind of simmer out. And your hustle dies down because you think
Yeah.
you've reached your goal. But now
Mm-hmm.
I feel
Mm-hmm.
like that's a form of imposter syndrome, thinking that you've
Mm-hmm.
reached your goal. That's not real. It's not about
Mm-hmm.
reaching the goal. It's about that journey
Right.
of constantly hustling. You know, if I get to my next
Mm.
place, like where I want to be, I'm not going to be like, oh, thank you, God, this is it, I'm
And that's
hired,
it.
I'm good. No, that's when the
Mm-mm.
work probably should really start starting.
Right.
Okay,
What's
I'm
next?
here. How can I
Mm-hmm.
be of value? How can I
Mm-hmm.
go on and above? Because I used to have
Mm-hmm.
this like mindset, like, man, they doing too much. They're going above and beyond. I'm doing my job because this is enough. No, I have that hustle mentality while
Mm-hmm.
also understanding what I want. Because I think it's
Mm-hmm.
easier to have that hustle mentality when you're doing what you enjoy, when you're
Right.
doing what you want to do. Because I think
Mm-hmm.
that's another part of my complacency, was that I wasn't really wanting to be where I was at. So I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't really grinding because
Mm-hmm.
I didn't feel like doing it probably.
Mm-hmm.
So my next thing is to be intentional about where I go and make sure that
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing what I want. So it's not a
Mm-hmm.
problem to hustle because I'm
Mm-hmm.
enjoying it, and
Mm-hmm.
things will
And you
happen.
hustling for you. You hustling for you. You're not
Absolutely.
hustling for
Absolutely.
somebody else. That we
Absolutely.
are so many people in the world who do that, right? Like
Right.
I will never knock a 9 to 5 because I have one myself. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? But at the same time, the way that I look at it, it's like you're hustling for somebody else to a very high degree. Like, what about your passion and your desires? Like, so you're coming in here, you faking the funk, right? You're not
Mhm.
happy here. You're having imposter syndrome because you're trying to fulfill the needs of this position, and you're feeling inadequate, right?
Right.
Why haven't you tapped into your inner abilities? Like, what is it that brings joy to you? Like,
Right.
why haven't you put some focus and energy and time into that? The way you going hard and hustling hard for someone else, we all need to be doing that for ourselves. And whether
Yeah.
that's for a job, the gifts that we have, or just your own self care,
Yeah.
your own mental health, like we have to turn that back inwards to us.
Right. We
So,
have to find that
hmm
outlet. So this kind of
hmm
transitions into what we want to ask next about, like, how do you focus on your confidence? Is there any like tangible things that you do to zero in on that confidence and amplify that confidence about yourself?
sure do.
Give us some tips. Give us
Sure
some tips.
do. I have a morning routine,
Okay.
okay? I do not allow anybody interfere with that morning routine. My phone is ringing, I'm not answering it. You're texting me, I'm not answering it. I have certain things that I do in the morning time that if I don't do it, I feel weird throughout the day because that I've adapted to implementing that particular routine every morning. So
Right.
before I even get out the bed, I turn on YouTube and I find like a godly motivation video to listen to. Now, I'm not gonna lie, it has to be like 10 to 12 minutes because I lose focus. I do. I will lose focus after like that 10-minute, 12-minute mark.
Mhm.
I'm starting to wander, right? But I always have to reel myself back in if it is a longer segment. From there, I'm spending my time with God. I'm just praying, just being in gratitude, thanking God for what I have because people always forget to be appreciative of what we have. We always want, 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 want. And it's like we have to pay attention to what we already have.
Right.
Um, from there, I go and I do a 10-minute meditation, put my headphones on, I meditate for 10 minutes. From there, I'm spending 10 minutes, like 5 to 10 minutes stretching. From there, I'm I'm writing in my journal. No, before I write in my journal, I have a list of 10 things that I manifest every morning. I'll say them 3 times, and then I'll go into writing. And then, of course, I make sure I have my tea with me in the morning. have my tea while I'm writing in my journal, you know, and I don't have like a certain flow for my journal. It's just whatever my mind, it can take me in 30 different directions. Yeah, I slept good last night, but I'm wondering about this chicken biscuit I'm about to eat. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
What else could I have? So many things planned today, but just letting the words flow from my mind to,
Yeah.
you know, the pen and let it do what it's going to do. I also listen to a lot of motivational speakers. So I like listening to like Eric Thomas. I like
Mhm.
listening to Jim Rohn. I like listening to Tony Gaskins.
Mhm.
Like I get so much from them, so much, right? That when I was living in Georgia in Atlanta and I was working at that brain injury program, when I put my 2 weeks notice in, right, my last day there, these people put together a whole Jeopardy game about me, and it highlighted all of the things that I enjoyed, and it was a reflection of how I contributed to them. So in the Jeopardy, it was like, you know, who are the people that Nicole likes to listen to when she comes in the morning? Like, where does she get her motivation from aside from God? And like they knew all these answers, you know what I'm saying? So like one, that's showing me that I am impacting people the way that I hope and pray for on a regular basis, you know? So that even in itself gives me confidence because it reminds me that I'm just in the right position at the right time.
Mhm.
And as I'm able to give to others, they're giving it right back to me because I'm giving them a piece of myself and they're showing me and giving me that piece of me right back. Like they're taking from me, but
Yeah.
they're giving it right back by showing me, like, hey, we heard you and we're
Yeah.
trying to do some of the things that you have left us with, you know? So just creating that morning routine for myself has impacted my mornings alone. Like it sets the tone for my day. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Making sure, like I said, I have my tea, making sure that I take myself out every once in a while. This
Mhm.
is self-care, but also like the confidence because I think too, like people get lonely, you know,
Yeah.
but they don't recognize that being alone is okay because that's when you get to spend a lot of the time with yourself to learn who you really are so that when you're placed in certain type of situations or environments, you know how you're going to show up because you're in tune and aligned with yourself, you
Right.
know? In addition to this like imposter syndrome aspect, like a friend of mine just sent me a clip the other day and it was the Jeezy interview. So
Mhm.
it was just a clip of it, right? And she was like, "Well, what are your thoughts on it?" And I was like, "Yo, people struggle with being authentic. So then so they're afraid of looking in their own mirror to really look into who they are to see that they've been operating from a fraudulent position or manner within themselves. If you would take the time to address who you are, you can then start rebuilding your own confidence. Because now you're releasing and shedding who you think you are or who you thought you was, and
Mhm.
you're coming into yourself. You
Mhm.
know, so I feel like in doing that, which I was able to do that, I feel like I've always been like a genuine and authentic person, but there were some things about me that I had to tap in and look in the mirror and, you know, release those layers that no longer served me. And from there it was like you're stripping away this identity that you thought was you, and now you get to like build your own confidence from the ground up because you're seeing you for you. So
Mhm.
taking time out for myself as well to, like, you know, just reflect on where I once was compared to where I am
Yeah.
compared to where I'm going, because
Mhm.
God got me, and
Yeah.
that's where I had get a lot of my confidence from too. Just the reassurance of you know, God putting me in certain situations or putting me in certain rooms.
All right. So, sippers, we're gonna cut this interview short because we know that you are enjoying it, but you'll have to stay tuned for next week to listen to the conclusion of this episode. So again, thank you all for listening to the Imposter Syndrome episode part 1. Stay tuned for part 2.
Yes, come back. Don't miss out on the end.
Bye.